Hi, Skip here. I'm doing a series. What you're going to see in this video is the first of a series that gives an outline, an overview of what it really takes to start and build an online business. It also applies to anybody that wants to build a business that they might already have. It doesn't necessarily apply or singularly apply to the business that I'm in and what I'm doing. I will say that there's some tremendous training available if you really want it. And so many people get into online marketing and they make a lot of mistakes. They spend a lot of money that they shouldn't have to spend, and in the trial and error process. So what I'm trying to do is create a format that says these are the things you need to consider and look at and become really good at and master for the long-term interest of building a business. So I'm going to go right into it. I'm going to start this training. There's going to be several sections to it. Initially, I'm doing an initial set of 2 trainings, and it's about 30 minutes long, and I just slightly over. And I welcome you to check it out, and I thank you for stopping in and looking. And I'm going to close it out with a little word and whatnot, but thank you. And so let's get right to it. Okay, 3 steps. We're going to move away from that growing debt, find a way out of that. We're going to do some list building and ultimately create the platform that is that thing that builds our dreams. So I want to move right along through this, and there's so many things here that are fundamental in laying the groundwork. And the training that I've seen over the years, and there's lots of it out there, there's so much training that goes into bits and pieces of details. It's kind of a smattering of functions and systems and applications, how to use this application to build your fortune, how to use that one. And so many times they skip right past some of the rudimentary things that are so important. There's certain things that have to be in place in order for you to really build a business, to build and scale a business, and particularly if you have a long-term interest. Now this whole series, this training really applies to anybody that's brand new on the internet, looking to build a business, somebody that has a business that they want to build. And by the way, I also want to give attention to people who are in network marketing. There's a system that I use that I follow, and and quite honestly, you spend the rest of your life learning. The internet is a constantly moving target, and there's things that you continue to grow, and you learn to stay ahead of the algorithms and the changes and what have you. So saying that, you never stop learning. There's a master course that's phenomenal that goes into great detail on pretty much everything I'm going to cover here. But you need to know going into it. There's things you need to know in order to build a business. Now I'm going to talk in addition to those people who are brand new and those who already have a business, to the people who are in network marketing. Network marketing is one of those things that historically you have to be face to face. You talk to your friends. You talk to you go to the mall and talk to people. It's a one-on-one, build it a person at a time kind of a thing. And they talk about the exponential growth. You find 2, they find 2, etc. That's all well and good, but it is actually possible without ever having that face-to-face contact and going out and beating the streets and knocking on doors. Without doing any of that, it is possible to build an incredible network marketing organization. If you understand the concept of building traffic, generating traffic, and creating a list, and doing some of the rudimentary things necessary to build a business online. Any business that needs to have traffic and conversions, that's sales, can use this kind of training. But you have to start somewhere. And there's some thoughts that I want to give you in terms of laying the groundwork for moving into effective network marketing. Now what I'm doing is really intended for the people who are serious about it. Now if you're just looking into it, you're brand new, this is going to give you a good idea what to look forward to. If you're really serious about learning long term, then these are things that you're going to ultimately need to master. The elements and the things that I'm going to be talking about here. So I'm going to move through it here a little bit, and I want to talk about mindset. The first most important thing you can do in entering any venture has everything to do with mindset. It's not about the business, the systems, or the money that ultimately creates the success. It's about the person. The systems are the same for everybody. The person makes all the difference. It's true that over 90%, 96% roughly is the stat, that 96% of the people who have good intentions, they set out in life to make something happen, they take on a project, 96% of the people who start out will never arrive at their ultimate destination, their ultimate goal. That's a sad reality. It is a statistic. It is true. It's verifiable. That means that there's 4% who actually make it. So what's the difference between the 4% and the 96%? Well, the difference is really clear. It is the choices that are made in the beginning. It is the mindset. There's so many people that are stuck where they are. They are where they are. They think they can't move from there. There's people that have what you can refer to as a poverty mindset. They think that they're poor. They think they always will be poor. They have no control over it. They think that they're incapable. They may have been told all their life that they're incapable. They may have been raised in an environment that was not nurturing or encouraging. But it doesn't matter where you come from or what you've experienced in the past. Is it possible to get a new mindset and to grow beyond that and assume a mindset that a lot of people never even consider as a possibility? The majority of people that enter into something new enter into it not really fully knowing what to expect down the road. You never know quite. You might know a few of the steps to begin, but as soon as you start to run into roadblocks and speed bumps, people get discouraged. They don't have what it takes to move on and overcome the obstacles, and they fall away. The mindset is what makes the difference. If you've decided that you're going to do it, first of all, that you're going to do it, you're going to learn what you need to learn, and you're going to fight through some of the obstacles, that makes all the difference in the world. And the people who really ultimately make it are those people. And you may not start out with all the skills and all the knowledge. You may not start out with a great history of success. In fact, some of the most successful people in the world will tell you that they failed their way to success. They had one failure after another, and you can name them off. There's a lot of them, big names, who went all their lives never really succeeding. Colonel Sanders was one of them. He was in his 60s when he finally started to really hit it, and had his chicken recipe and went out and sold it and finally got some buyers, and ultimately now it's KFC and it's this huge organization. Well, it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how young you are. You have to have a mindset that says, I'm going to fight through it. I'm going to do what it takes to move on. This is a subject you'll hear me talk a lot about because it's something that we need to renew. It's something we need to be on top of. We need to really understand and embrace. So as we continue to move through, we look at the jobs mindset, the people who are working hard. And by the way, I have no problem. I mean, there's a lot of people who have jobs that they like, they're happy, they're feeding their family, everything is good, they're happy, they're fine, and they're completely set where they are. That's not a problem, and that's not a bad thing. The world survives on people at all levels, at all stations, and people who are creative, people who have a talent, and they work hard, people who want to start a business, and maybe a small business and never be anything more than that. Maybe something that they're passionate about. Whatever it is, there's nothing wrong with any of that. Where you run into a problem is where people are stuck in a jobs mentality or jobs mindset, thinking that that's all there is, but wanting more. And if you want more, if you want to grow beyond that and really see a future that gives you the lifestyle that you have in mind, the accomplishments you have in mind, some of the goals you have in mind, you really have to move away from that, the hole that job mindset has you. Lee, we look around and we think of ourselves as being successful because we held on to a job for a long time. And actually, in the world overall, more and more people migrate from one job to the other. And part of that migration is because they're not satisfied where they're at. They're looking and they're wanting to grow and gain. So they'll move and they'll change jobs, but they don't change mindset. They'll change their geography, but they don't change the mindset. So this is about being able to look at it and say, you know what? I'm going to become very good at what I do. I'm going to grow. I have a reason I want to prosper, and I'm not going to let anything hold me back. I'm not going to listen to the people, the no-sayers around me, and I'm going to move away from that mindset. Now, the geography becomes a little less important. The mindset moves you on to break through the barriers and the obstacles, and that's where you start to make success. Now, this is a conversation that an awful lot of people have never been a part of, as crazy as that sounds. But it's critical if you really want to achieve ultimate success. So let's take a look here. If you want to move from a jobs mentality and the hourly income. You know, a job is hourly income. You only have so many hours in a day, and so it puts a ceiling on how much you can earn. Then you take this step into more of a leadership position, and leadership, you migrate from being responsible for carrying out all of the functions of a particular position and leading people and taking responsibility for a little broader picture, and that usually opens up the door to a little greater income stream. But when you're in a system that is, we'll call it rigid in its structure, the corporate America, you still have limitations on what you can really do. Now, the principle of moving from what you can do with your hands to bringing together many hands, the multiple hands. Now that principle is alive and well, and when you take that outside of the corporate structure, outside of that place that says, this is what you can do, you're now a boss, you can do this, this, and this, but you're still under the thumb of an organization and traditions according to that organization, what can you make, where's the ceiling, and that kind of thing. You have to move away from that structure into a place where you have much greater freedom and you can make choices on your own, to where now that mentality goes from the jobs mentality through the corporate mentality to that place that says, you know what, there's ways that I can create something that involves a lot of people and generate my income from really a position of leadership. And at that point, that's when you open the door to choices, more choices than you're given within the confines of a strict corporate structure, for example. If you want to be in that position that you no longer have to buy that used car, your income says this is what you can afford, and you have, that's it. That's where your life is. You're going to buy used cars. From to that place where you can buy a new car. You can have the choice to do that. And by the way, this isn't about having a new car. This is about having the choice. It is about having what you really want. Not everybody wants or needs a brand new Mercedes or whatever you think is the top of the line. It's having the freedom to make those choices that really counts. That, at the end of the day, is truly the most important issue, is having choices, and to move up to that place where you're no longer bound by that culture around you that says this is the way it is, this is the way it works, it always has worked this way, it always will, you're part of the system and you're stuck in it. You want to move away from that mindset and grow to that place where pretty soon you start to see differences. You start to see that there are possibilities in life. There's a progression of possibilities. You go from this place where you think maybe you can, you hope you can, till you get to arrive at a place where you know you can do it, where you know you can have more. But that takes a determination from the beginning that says, I'm going to invest myself in personal growth. I'm going to read books on this subject. Think and Grow Rich, whatever the materials. There's great materials around that can help you grow and learn. There's great resources. You have to be willing to open yourself up to learning and growing and say, you know what, there's a me that was yesterday. There is a me that is tomorrow. And I'm going to grow into that me that is tomorrow and be the best me that I can in pursuit of my life dreams and goals. That's where you have to arrive. It just is. There's a scripture that I appreciate. Conform not to the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. There's this confirmation or this tendency to conform to the world around us and the norm, and failing to make that transition where we renew our mind to new ideas and new thoughts and grow beyond that place where we might be just kind of stuck. So, what do we really want? You have to determine in your mind, what is it, at the end of the day, what do I really want? Who am I? And am I worth it? And all of those things. Well, you're worth it. Know that you are created. You're created for something far more than just mediocrity. You're created for something special. You're created to have something in life, to receive what is good and to make a difference in the world around you. I have a saying, I try to stick with it. It's live life with purpose, on purpose. And if you can do that and feel like a sense of purpose in life, it's amazing what you can accomplish. So you really have to sit down and think, really put your mind to it. What do I really want out of life? And am I willing to do what it takes to get there and make that happen? So when you're looking to build a business of any kind, whether it's a business you already have, step into a new world of business, get into online marketing, whatever it is, you have to start with the mindset that says, I'm not going to stay where I'm at. I'm going to continue to grow. I may not be where I want to be, but thank God I'm not where I was. You just continue to grow and move. So, the hourly job, that's trading time for dollars. Got to move away from that mentality, right? That's a limit, that's a ceiling. The commission job, that's hands-on with the various transactions. You only make money on what you get paid for, or make money on the time and effort that you put in, the number of sales you make, and that kind of thing. There's still a ceiling on that in terms of your income. And then there is the system, what I call system oversight, managing a system and the support of promotional partners. Now, this is something where you move into a whole different realm, and if that doesn't look necessarily familiar with you or to you, that is something that with some time here maybe you can kind of adjust your idea to a whole new way of thinking. Managing a system and supporting promotional partners, okay? That's where we're going here. That's what we're going to be talking about, is the ability to do that and take it to a whole new level, to where it's no longer dependent on what you do in any given day. It's what you put in place overall that works for you, and preferably that works for you 24/7, regardless of what you're doing at any given moment. Okay, so you got to think like a CEO. You got to think like an owner. You got to step away from the norm, step away from the structure, and say, you know what? I'm going to own this thing. This is going to be my thing. I'm going to build it. I'm going to be the best I can be, and I'm going to do something that so many people either aren't aware of or aren't willing to do. Okay, so take ownership. Have that mindset. Say, I'm going to take ownership and I'm going to move forward. Okay, so I may be repeating myself a little bit along the way here, but it really bears. It's necessary. It doesn't happen in one setting. It doesn't happen because somebody like myself comes along and suggests it's a good idea to work on your mindset. It happens because you have a daily exposure to this. And I've got a link that I'm going to share with you later that gives you a really an excellent understanding that you can listen to over and over for a period of time, that helps you see that there's a bigger mindset, there's a bigger picture, that you can mold yourself, model yourself in such a way as to think outside the box. Okay? So, I mentioned earlier, I mentioned choices. There comes a day when you really want to have flexibility. You want to have those choices. This is so much of what we're fighting for. Have choices of how you live your life and where you go. You know, you can look forward and say, well, I'm a motel guy. I'm always going to stay in motels when I go out. How about if I travel in style? And again, you don't have to have a big fancy motor coach in order to travel in style necessarily. I just want to kind of create that image of going from where you are or where you were or where you really don't want to be to a place that maybe you had never even thought possible. Is that fair? So we're going to look in this progression of possibilities. We're going to look to the future of online marketing and take it to a whole new level. There was a time when you could go online and you could drop in an ad and have a website and people would come and buy from you. Well, if it was ever really like that, it's not anymore. You are one person out there selling a product amongst millions of other people that are doing the same thing. There's millions of people selling, there's millions of people buying. How do you stand out? How do you differentiate what you do and who you are and what you have from everybody else? That's a big part of this. And so there's a system that you develop in order to get there. So I want to lay some groundwork. And right now my whole goal is to open your mind to a new way of thinking, a different approach, and understand that there are ways that you can stay ahead of the system and not be dependent on anybody for your prosperity. You can call your own shots and make happen what you want to have happen in your life. So I'm going to give you this is just a really quick outline, that ultimately you want a system wherein you can promote, you can get the word out, you can present yourself as having a special brand identity or brand culture. You can present yourself as being different, having information, having that which is about. It's really possible. I mean, among the millions, see, there's only one you. There's never been another you. There never will be another you. There's one you, and you can be unique and an individual if you learn how to present yourself in a way that that people can identify with. Does that make sense? In the system that I kind of want to ultimately point you to, there's such a thing as promotion, where you promote that image, that brand culture, that person that is you. People are going to buy you. They're going to buy you because they trust you. They're not you. Really key. I've trained thousands of people over the years, and the one thing that stands out in my mind as an obstacle is to get people to go from selling a product to selling a result, from selling based on price to understanding the concept of value. If you do it right, it's not about the product and it's not about value. It's about results, or excuse me, it's not about it's not about a price. It's about value. You promote, you gather people on a list. There's things that you can share with that list. You convert people to customers, and then ongoing you support those customers and continue to grow and develop your brand. Okay, so the active part on an ongoing basis, once you build your system, the active part is you continue to promote. The 24/7 part is the automatic growth of the list, the growth and sharing of information, the conversion, and the support can be done automatically 24/7 if you know how to set up the system correctly. I hope this is making sense. Okay, so let's take a look at the promotion part of this. In the promotion part, you've got to learn, and this, by the way, this is a subject that it's way too deep to go into and be completely thorough now, and I'm going to be talking about list building as a system in the next section that I do. But that list building is part of the promotion process. All of these systems necessary to build a list have to be in place before you start building traffic. Traffic and that list are going to go hand in hand, but you have to have some place to send that traffic, some place to develop and nurture that traffic, or the traffic is wasted. It makes no sense. So part of that promotion piece of this puzzle is all about learning and mastering traffic and then having a place to send them. What I don't see a lot of is connecting the dots in most of the training, connecting the dots between that traffic, the conversions, the list, and the ongoing support of an existing customer base. You got to link all that together in a single system. And that's something where right now what I'm doing is I want to lay it out there, show you kind of what to expect, give you a groundwork, kind of a blueprint, and then you go from there, and there is such a thing as learning each segment of this whole process in one system so that it all works together for an end result. I hope that's making sense. Okay, so the first thing you do is you have to learn the elements of promotion. You have to put in place a list capture system. Once you have a list capture system, then that's where conversions happen. And if you learn something about copywriting and keywords, what they call long-term or long-tail keyword phrases, how to differentiate that. And see, keywords are really important. And there's keywords that you might work in your mind, but when you go out there on the internet, you discover that keywords in your mind are not necessarily in alignment with how it's interpreted online. Most of the keywords are interpreted by algorithms that don't recognize it emotionally or in the way that you and I might in the natural. So keywords, for example, let me just give you an example. You might be saying, I want to open the door for you to have an online business. Okay, so take two words, online business. You got to be careful how you post that, because the algorithms, if you say online business, it may be that you will capture the people you want. If you say the business of internet, for example, just change a little bit, all of a sudden you're attracting people that want to have internet networks, browsers, and other things that have nothing to do with your product. So what they mean in combination becomes kind of an issue. So learning how to discover keywords that matter is a big part of that. So that's just a heads up. There's systems that can show you. It's not all that hard. You just have to know where to turn for that. So when you start building your list, you're going to be doing it based on those keywords and understanding that the people you're attracting to you, you want to make sure that they're targeted and they have an interest in what you're doing, and your keywords haven't worked against you but for you. Hope that makes sense. So you go from list to sharing. And what you share is information, training, knowledge. There's so much you can train or offer people in the process. And what differentiates you from so many people are out there selling. And I want you to just slow down and think about this for just a moment. There's so many people that are out there just sell, sell, sell. And really it's an outmoded thing, and it's kind of it's an annoyance. I was at a trade show here recently. I do a number of trade shows for various reasons. And what I notice in these trade shows is that there's a lot of people that are out there in your face trying to sell what they have. And it's not attractive. They're literally is what I call push-pull selling. They're pushing you away, and you really want to avoid those people if you can, because you don't want to have anybody pushing you into to a decision or even attempting it. Pull is a little different. Pull is where you become a magnet, where people are attracted to you. You know, I see both ends of the spectrum. I see people who are pushing, people who are laid back and they're doing nothing, hoping that you're going to just automatically show an interest in what they're selling. And then there's that place where people become a magnet, where they know what they do, what they're doing, they know their product, they're confident, they're strong, and they're people that you look to they're going to help you make a decision in a positive way, and that you might end up trusting. So it's that niche within all those people that have something to sell. There's that niche of those who really you're going to ultimately trust. That's the ones that you're going to want to do business with. And that is the art of sharing. It is the art of giving. How you do that, how you present yourself, that makes that difference. You can set that up in your business, part of the system, and make that an automatic function within the system if you do it correctly. So that's one of the elements of building a successful system. If you do that right, you'll end up with conversions. You will convert prospects to sales, and that's ultimately, of course, what you want. So as you convert people, then you're going to end up in a long-term support system to where you build a base of people who have purchased from you, who trust you, and who will represent long-term success, because there's going to be a number of those people who, if they purchased from you once, they're going to want to purchase again. So you build that list, you nurture the list, you share with that list, you educate, you're there for them, but you're not constantly in their face selling. So what you're doing is you're establishing, I'm different, I'm presenting value, I provide value in what I do, and if you like what I do and you can identify with me, long term you're going to trust me and you're going to buy from me. That's the mindset you want. And that's how you set up a system. That's how you can get into that place where you can actively promote, automatically create a list, automatically share with people, automatically see the conversions happen, and automatically, because you've pre-programmed it, automatically long-term support those buyers. Okay? So this is a quick snapshot. I realize it's not the end all, but it should help. And if it helps you, if it gives you, and you follow this, if it gives you the track to run on, and you dedicate yourself to the process, ultimately, you're going to have what you want. And if you want lifestyle, if you want money, if you want retirement, and by the way, money, you'll hear me talk about this more than once, but money is one of those things, it's an interesting unit of measure. But so many people are out there pushing for money, 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 money. And that's fine that you have money, and money is necessary to buy things, to pay bills and all that. But there's so many people that have lots of money and they're absolutely miserable. There's a very high suicide rate amongst people who have a lot of money. And we look at that and we wonder, well, what's the problem? And the problem is that they never arrived at what they really wanted to achieve. They're pursuing money, but they're not pursuing substance and life and quality. They don't have that sense of purpose from living life in such a way that they have the ability to give. In order to give, you have to have intake. So what you take in life, you learn to give. So there's kind of a bottom line in this, and it's you literally give your way to success, not necessarily sell yourself to success. I love the phrase that Zig Ziglar, a great motivational speaker, very successful man in his own right, and he said, you can have anything in life you want if you help enough other people get what they want. It's about providing for others, providing value. So with that said, I'm going to kind of move on here and set the stage for the next segment of the training. Just know, in a quick recap here, in that progression of possibilities, it all starts with mindset. That's the most important thing. The mindset from the mindset, you go to building the system. But in order to build the system, you're going to have to overcome some speed bumps, some obstacles, and you have to have that mindset in place in order to build that system. So one follows the other naturally. In building the system, you then learn how to maintain the system. It's a process, it's an education, and it doesn't end because you learned a couple of little tricks. It's an ongoing forever thing, but it's worth the investment in the time. If you really want to achieve what only that 4% of our culture ever achieves, you can do it if you manage the principles that I'm sharing with you here. So you go from building the system to maintaining the system, and then ultimately to living in that life that you really aspire to. What is it to live the life that really fulfills your end desires and goals? It's a progress. So it's the progression of possibilities. There's system analysis and creation. You analyze in the system. There's what's called split testing. There's ways to analyze your system and where you're going, and then this ongoing process of creation. So that ongoing long-term process is analyzing what works, eliminating that which doesn't, continuing to grow and continuing to create new material, and it becomes very rewarding in the long term. If you're really interested in a comprehensive training, and starting from the basics to start a business and to scale your business, there is such a thing as an over-the-shoulder, step-by-step instruction, and I'm going to refer you to a link below. It's called the 4% Challenge. I want you to check that out, and everything I'm talking about is included in that, and much more, including detailed over-the-shoulder, step-by-step instruction. So with that, I'm going to kind of wrap up the training session and close with another real quick word here. I want to thank you for taking the time to check this out and see what it's all about. There will be a section 2. There'll be another video, again, it's so important that we have a track to run on, that we have some idea what we're getting into. So many people post some ads and think that people are going to come running to buy what they have and not realizing what they're up against and how much competition there is for what they do. And so I really wanted to lay this out. It's a place to begin for an awful lot of people. And if I give you some value in this, I appreciate you're taking the time to watch it. I'm hoping I give you some value and whatnot. And also check out, if you would, the 4% Challenge. It frankly is where a whole lot of people, including myself, got a huge start in really building something significant and training unlike anything I've ever seen. And I've been involved in the internet for over 20 years. And this is some of the best stuff I've ever seen in terms of really in-depth, over-the-shoulder, hand-to-hand, step-by-step training. So check it out if you would. And with that, there'll be another video come along here. And so thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon. Thanks.